This episode of the Black Girl Boss Podcast is brought to you by the Queening Group. The Queening Group is a program designed for new and aspiring entrepreneurs to teach you how to master life and business through personal development. Our unique products and exclusive coaching programs are tailor-made to provide the resources you need to get to your next level in life. And speaking of resources, the Queening Group offers the Strategy Shop, a free, yes, free resources suite that is updated monthly with new tools and tips to help you thrive in life and business. To learn more about the Queening Group and to get lifetime access to the Strategy Shop, go to www.thequeeninggroup.com and use offer code BlackGirlBoss to enjoy 15% off all products. Let's start the show.
Work hard for what you want in life.
You work hard for what you want in life.
That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
That your word is your bond, and you do what you say.
That you treat people with dignity and respect.
That you treat people with respect.
Reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard.
The strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
Work hard.
Work hard.
Work hard.
Work hard.
Work hard. Work hard. Work hard.
Hey guys, it's Tatum.
And it's your girl Milan.
And welcome to the Black Girl Boss Podcast. Whoop, whoop, whoop,
Whoop,
whoop.
whoop. What episode, Tatum? Let's see if she get it right.
Oh.
Don't try to look at your phone.
Is it 19?
It's number 18.
Oh, girl, I don't know. I'm sorry, y'all. My program launched tomorrow, so I'm stressed. I got shades on in here. Like, it's a lot going on for me right now. But, yeah, so we have a special guest, you guys. This is installment number 2 to the Black Girl Boss Essentials series.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we said before, y'all, every episode for the next few weeks is going to be about some really important topics. We're going to drop a lot of gems. We're going to have some great experts in the building. So, definitely tune in. I'm excited about all the episodes. People really loved last week.
Yeah, I seen. We got a lot of hearts. We got a lot of likes. It was, y'all was feeling it. So we're glad that this is something that you're interested in. That was the whole point of it.
Right. So today we're going to be talking about money, talking about finances. So we have a quote unquote financial expert in the building, Mr. Marcus White. So
Hey.
Marcus, talk to the people, let them know what you do, brag on yourself a little bit.
All right. Well, appreciate the intro. By the way, I'm humbled and honored to be here with you guys.
I'm sorry. I can't.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Y'all can't see what he's doing. That's why we're laughing. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. So, like I said, I'm humbled and honored to be here. That Tatum and Milan asked me to be on this podcast. For myself, I'm a financial planner. My firm is World Financial Group. Been with World Financial Group for about almost 4 years now. And really, for me, well, let me back up. So, even outside of that, but for me, like, I feel like I've always been like an entrepreneur at heart, just because, I've always been like a go-getter and a self-starter.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I get a lot of that from my mom. My mom has always displayed a lot of those entrepreneurial tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
And early on, it always kind of started with me with art, because I was always a naturally creative person.
Mm-hmm.
I draw, I paint, things like that. I've been drawing since I was 5. My mom taught me how to draw. And, back in even like pre-K elementary school, for kids that knew that, they used to ask me to draw them stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like pictures, self-portraits, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when I knew I had a little bit of a skill where I could like leverage that, is I would just charge them. Because really it was just based upon supply and demand, because I was like, I can't do everybody a picture. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Tatum want a picture, Milan want a picture, blah, 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 blah. Like, I can't do one for everybody. So I just started charging $2, $1, $3 or whatever for a picture, because I could knock them out quick. I could do them like 10 to 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And, next thing you know, I'm taking everybody lunch money. So, for me, it just kind of started from there. And by the time I got to Bowie,
Bowie. Hey.
Boo.
Hey, you outnumbered right now. So.
That's fine.
But shout out to Morgan too, though. But when I got to Bowie, even still, I majored in digital art and decided to pursue a career in that. I think I started in 2006 and ended in 2011. So, even then, I think about it now, like the landscape of college has really changed
Mm-hmm.
over the years too. And, I think a lot of us coming in at that time, it was really a mindset of like, you're going into school, get a degree, get a good job, blah, 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 blah. But I think by the time I was done, and even everybody else from then on, like the world started to look a lot different and a lot more entrepreneurial. So after a while, after leaving Bowie, I said to myself, this is what I want to do full time. Like I don't really have a full picture of it, but I knew that that's kind of the path that would be comfortable for me. And I know at the State of Your 20s event that we were at Tatum.
Shout out to Tish.
Shout out to Tish. Letitia, if you're on live stream, shout me out. Within that event, one of the first things I talked about was the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and my personal favorite part of that book is when he talked about some people in life want security, some people want freedom.
Right.
For me, I always wanted the freedom just because I felt like if I had the freedom, I could create my own security, And on the flip side, I see a lot of people that just kind of looking for a certain sense of security in life. So that was always my mindset. So I knew I wanted to create something for myself. And, even through that journey, like I remember before I went online and I pledged, very bad idea. Very, very bad idea. But I had a government job. I worked at the Department of Education from 2008 to 2010. I had a student job. I was making more money than all my friends at the time. And I decided to quit. I decided to quit and start a t-shirt brand a month before I went online.
What?
Yeah, because I quit in January and I went online in February. And I mean, I say it was a bad decision, but I'm still glad I did it because I learned so much along the way of doing that because, it's that journey. Like your back is against the wall now. Like, and for anybody that's pledged, like funds is extremely slim.
Low.
Oh man, your whole life is just, your pockets are thin. So, being able, even after I crossed and everything, I got a job and was able to pull myself out of that. But going through those hurdles is what taught me I know how to survive. I know I can make it if push come to shove. And so that's really what I decided to do and like just push on further and further. And, up until this point, like around 2011, 2012, a frat brother of mine, he noticed I was kind of, I didn't really see it that much, but very like business savvy, and he encouraged me to get into the financial industry. He said I could probably really make a difference, and affect some people's lives. And really for me at that time, again, going back to funds, it was more for a personal thing because I wanted to get my own business acumen up as well as financial background up because I felt like it would help me personally and business wise. And once I kind of really understood some things, I decided to stick with it because I saw a vision for like what a lot of people really need, especially our community, within understanding how money works, understanding finances, understanding how to better set themselves up for the future within their money. So I decided to stick with it and say, you know what, let me keep this as a foundational part of my business acumen that I will always build upon. So no matter what else I build in the future, I can have this as a foundation. So up until then, I'm still here, doing my thing. I got this office space just because along my journey too, I've done a hell of a lot of Uber and Lyft driving. And transition that into a podcast now that'll be launching sometime late May. I'm aiming for May 20th. To talk about a lot of my experiences as a driver, good, bad, and ugly.
That's gonna be so funny. I cannot wait.
So yeah, it's and then also to talk to riders about some of the things that they experience. So but I'll go into that, in detail. But like that's kind of like my platform of what I'm really focused on right now. And anybody that I meet or any networks that I make, it's really to kind of build and bond around those things and kind of see where I can help them with what they're doing too.
Okay, that's awesome. So when you graduated, you didn't get a full-time job after that. You just went straight to...
Since I was an artist, like I did a lot of freelance, like the thing you were talking about with your friend that you're working with for your workbook. I did a lot of freelance graphic design. Never really worked for like a real firm or anything, but I did a lot of that. Had a few internships, had a few things here and there. And that was kind of enough to survive. I had a teaching job. and a few other things. And, after a while, it's just like, after a while, it just became a disdain for working for other people.
Right. Trust me, we know.
Like I just said, I couldn't do it, man. I'm like, why am I spending 6, 7, 8 hours here? But then when I go home, I'm up until 2 a.m. working on my own stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Weekends, holidays, all of that. So I was like, you know what? Forget it. But I mean, again, keeping it realistic, I mean, I know a lot of people have that kind of a path. But I think a lot of people are still scared to kind of take a leap to do what they want to do. And, I mean, that's realistic. I mean, you still got to survive. But I think on the entrepreneur journey, you guys know this too. Like, it's going to test you. Like, if you really want it, it's going to test you how bad you want it.
Right.
That's why, I know my phone's on live stream right now, but I have on my wallpaper on my lock screen, it's a graphic that says, how bad do you want it? So for me, it's like a mental check. Like I have mental talks to myself. I'll be like, like whenever I'm tired, whenever I'm, if I'm feeling lazy or I've been grinding hard or something like that, like Marcus, you can take a break or you can go out to the bar, just have a good time, whatever. I look at that lock screen and it's like a self-check. Like, can I afford to do this right now? Like not just money-wise, but time-wise. So like, it's like if you're in a box and you're in the corner, like, you talk all this stuff, but how bad do you really want it?
Right.
And if you want it that bad, show me how bad you want it. Show like, like quick story. I'm single, by the way, but I'm saying that for a reason. I'm saying that for a reason.
There it is.
No. Look, I'm saying that. Don't make me call you out. But I'm saying that for a reason.
Random plug. Okay, go ahead.
I spent Valentine's Day here working till like 1 a.m. And you know, I know y'all both in relationships, but entrepreneurship can get lonely sometimes. And
you was in here listening to Mary J. Blige working on Valentine's Day.
You done?
Listen, Marcus is not having Tatum right now. Okay, this look he gave her.
I just had like a visual of you in here sad with some soft music playing, working on your business. Like one day I'm gonna get a woman on Valentine's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You done?
I'm finished.
Okay. All right.
I'm finished.
Get your laughs out. That's cool. It's cool.
Go ahead.
Hey y'all, quick lesson. Like entrepreneurship, it helps you develop tough skin, so you can take people laughing in your face. So yeah. But yeah, I was in here on Valentine's Day. I was on my computer. I had things to do, and you scroll through the gram or you on Snapchat or whatever, and you're like, damn, like everybody's out having fun, and then after a certain while, everybody having more fun. I'm like, yo, I'm here, And again, it's like that mental check. So it's like Marcus, why are you here right now? Why are you in here? You could be doing that. You could be out on a date. You could be doing whatever you want to do. But why are you here right now? Why are you here working? What is it really worth? What does it all really mean? And how bad do you want it?
Right.
So is it worth, like, are you willing to do this again? Memorial Day about to come up. Are you willing to spend Memorial Day in here while everybody's at cookouts? So, I mean, it was a little bit of a self-check. No, I was not listening to Mary J. Blige in the office.
Just saying.
I had music, but it wasn't Mary J. Blige. But it was a little bit of a check, and just to be like, you know what, if I can handle this, I'm gonna be all right, and I can push through. So yeah, that's I mean, even with that story, that's like my mental of how I try to frame it to stay focused.
And that's great that you brought that up, because even our last episode was about mindset. And so I want people to understand that in every single episode after this, I can almost guarantee that something about mindset is going to come up again, because mindset is the central part of entrepreneurship. Like you said, like it takes a lot to be able to sit in the office when everybody else is out, because even it gets into that comparison game. We get to scrolling. We may see that somebody is able to spend money on luxuries like this. So they're able to have this new bag or this new car or this new whatever. And we're just working, not necessarily seeing the immediate fruits of our labor like we want to, but you have to be able to stay the course. And remember, like you said, how do you want it? How bad do you want it? Shut up. So anyway, that sounded so bad. That sounded terrible. This is why we can't. You can't do podcasts with people you cool with, because then y'all just play the whole time. So anyway, going back to wealth, though, I think that you have to have a mindset for wealth as well, because a lot of people, especially in the Black community, we don't have that wealth, that mindset for wealth. It's like we get money, we spend it. Your neighborhood drug dealer got a Mercedes, like, you know what I'm saying? You get your refund check from school and you spend it on some clothes, or you get you make your first couple thousand in your business and you go buy a new bag. It's not a longevity mindset. It's not a wealth mindset. It's that instant gratifications. And you look at other communities like white people, or especially the Jewish community. The Jewish community has it down packed.
Yes,
like, they really have it down packed. Like, I can't be mad at them at all. They have it down packed. But for some reason, in the Black community, we don't have it like that. We don't value making money last. Like, I had a conversation with my mom, right? So she might get mad if she hear this, but so we had a conversation, and so she was doing a network marketing company, and so she got really successful in it, made a lot of money. So we got into a conversation where I forgot what we were talking about, but it was kind of like an argument. So she was mad at me because she felt like I don't respect her as a professional, because she made a lot of money in network marketing, and I'm trying to build a business from the ground up. Right. So it's two different paths. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but even in that, she was like, I've done all these things. And I'm like, but I still had to take out loans for school. You know what I'm saying? I still had to buy my own car. Like, but I have these real conversations with people in my life, because this is what needs to be talked about. Right. And also I have to see the things that I didn't like so that I can do something different for my kids. So it was like, she got all this money. We went shopping all the time, had this big house, had all these cars, but I still had to take out loans for school. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Or it's nothing left for me to use for my business. You know, it's a difference. So how can people really like develop that mindset for wealth, so we're not just continuing these I can't talk today. These generational bad habits?
I want to definitely tackle the question of wealth. But quick question to what you brought up. What's y'all opinion on network marketing businesses?
I have two opinions on that. One,
I know it's personal because of your mom and everything, that story. But
no, it's not.
It's not?
So, I mean, I'm just real, y'all. It's not. I have two opinions. One, that I think that it's sold as if you're an entrepreneur. I think you have to go into network marketing with the mindset of, you still work for somebody, you just have more time. It's I think they sell to you the illusion of time. You know what I mean? You can't leave that business to your kids, but you can use the money from that business to fuel your dreams. And that's why I do like it for that aspect. Yeah. So if you could say, and it's a lot of especially Black women in business right now doing this. So they're using things like It Works or Total Life Changes or the Travel Club or whatever. And they're just using the money that they make from that to fuel their dreams and follow their ambitions. But then on the other side of it, it's like, that's kind of a conflict for me. I don't want to, especially doing like coaching and stuff like that, I don't want people to come to me thinking that I'm going to just be trying to get them to sign up for something, as opposed to me trying to like really help them with what they want help with, not like, hey girl, sign up for this.
Yeah,
so what you think?
Me and my mom just had a conversation about that like 2 weeks ago, and she was just like, she doesn't like it because she seems like a scheme. Like, you're trying to get everybody in this network, but it's still that person at the top. Like, everybody's thinking they're coming in, being their own boss, but you still have that person at the top who's, pulling from your account.
I want to be the person at the top.
Exactly. But you have to get to the top. That's the thing. So, like, you're entering it, and you're pulling people in. You're trying to get to the top, but it's still somebody over top of you who's still pulling from you. So I find it pointless. I don't like it. I feel like clearly, we're in a room of entrepreneurs. It's other ways to get it. True.
I'll just say this. So, like,
why did you ask though?
Because, I think that, I don't know if it's this area or like, the networks that we know, but we all know somebody involved or been involved in something like that. And it's like, some of us may find it annoying. Some of us just be like, look, I don't want to be approached. Stop trying to sell to me. Leave me the fuck alone. Like, all of that. So, like, I want to know, like, what y'all thought about it, just to kind of understand, based upon that, like, how do you handle it? What's the conversation that you have with them, blah, 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 But for me, I try not to disrespect anybody who says they have a quote unquote business.
Right.
I kind of value more so like almost with anything. I mean, you could be selling blow pops on the street. Like to me, like, well, I know entrepreneurship loosely defined is like just means a risk taker.
Right.
But we refer usually to business. So like, but really, in the modern way of how we understand it, it's a business person that takes like full ownership within the risks that they take or the moves that they make. So when they win, they champion beating themselves in the chest. When they lose, they could take the loss and still keep moving. You know what I mean? So really, no matter what it is, I look at people and kind of try to see like, no matter what it is that you do, how much ownership do you take within what you do? Because even if it is something like that, and I don't understand the legalities of like how all those businesses work, but like if you're a true entrepreneur, eventually you're going to become hungrier and you're going to want more and more and more. You're going to want more stake into that, whatever that is, whatever business that is. And, rather than, I like what you said about the illusion, the time thing. So that may mean, wanting ownership stake into the business. Like you may want stock. You may want to know like, what how do you say? Well, like what backing do I have by the company within that? Like, being invested or anything like that. Rather than just being like all cash, all this, all of that.
Right.
Even with, and this is not to shade anybody, but even with a lot of the rewards and the cars and things like that, the rewards that people get, like that, it even shouldn't matter to a point too. It's about the game. It's about the hustle more than and the longevity of it. Like I know for me lately, I've been thinking about legacy now more than anything because how you make your money is just as important as why you make your money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you out, I mean, if you're a drug dealer, if you hustle in the network marketing, business or anything like that, it's like, are you going to be proud of that 10 years from now? When you have kids, are they going to be proud of the legacy that you built in order to make your millions or whatever else it is? Is it, you said about your mom, is it something that you can pass down to them? You know what I mean? That they can have an option to own or to have wealth built upon, it's just a lot of like things built upon that. My mindset of it, like I said, I like to judge people based upon how much ownership they take in it and like really kind of look at they motives. Like I can tell real quick if somebody is like just trying to make a buck, because I'm gonna grill you, I'm gonna ask you questions. And for those people, I don't really, I'll give them an answer straight up. Like I don't want to say I don't believe in you, but I'll be wanting to say that. But I don't. Well, I'll give you this example. And if the person that came to me with this sees this, I don't care. But
I'd be blank. You're worse.
You're right.
You're worse than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At times.
Sorry.
So, a uncle of mine, who knows I'm an entrepreneur, he referred me to this lady that sells like energy juice or something. And he was like, Marcus, I ran into this lady, she had this energy juice she was selling. Like she seemed really fired up about it. That's not really my lane or anything. He has a business, by the way, but that's not really my lane. But I want to refer to you because I know you got energy and you got a lot of different things going on. It might be something that you could add to your portfolio. I was like, all right, I'll check it out because he told me about it. Man, met up with this lady. She tells me about the business, go through the whole spill of what it is that they do, and gave me samples of the drink to test out. It was probably like 5, 6, 7, energy drinks. She said, you don't have to make a decision now, but I'm going to leave them here. Let me know what you think of them, and then I'll contact you in a couple of days and get your feedback. I was like, cool. Tasted, not finished, but tasted every one of them. Didn't like none of them. And so, and then I tried to finish them. I'm like, I just don't like it. So she contacts me a few days later. She says, Marcus, what'd you think of the drinks? I was like, you want my honest opinion? She said, yeah. I said, honestly, I don't like any of them. So And she tried to come at me even furthermore with being like, let's say you could do a fundraiser with your chapter and blah, 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 blah. And then you can make some money off this. And I'm like, okay, cool. I get you, but I don't like the taste of the drink.
Right.
You know, the business side isn't even for me. Like I got way too much on my plate. The business side is not for me either, and I don't like to drink. So there's no way we could ever make this work. And she said, but still, you know, you might know somebody. That's when they really get into it. You might know somebody. You know, they could probably benefit from it too. You could bring it to them and see if y'all can make some money. I was like, hold on. Well, maybe I didn't make myself clear, but let me explain what I mean by that. When I say I didn't like your drink and the business ain't for me, if it ain't for me, there's no way in hell I could refer to somebody that I know.
Right.
To, you know, because then it's going to be a reflection of me. And then that goes back to legacy. So then, because then when I sit down, if it's me, that person, and then you offer me to drink, like, you know, they going to taste it. They might even like it. But then they going to ask me, Marcus, what do you think? I'm be like, you know what? I mean, I didn't like it, but I wanted you to, you know, kind of look. Some people could probably do that. Personally, I can't do that because because for the people that I know, they're going to be like, well, Marcus, like, why did you bring it to me if you didn't even like it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you thought it was nasty. Like, I mean, not to say that they would immediately shut it down, but I can't be the point of contact to bring these two people together. I got to believe full-fledged and wholeheartedly in whatever it is that I do and what the other person is bringing in order to mesh all that together. I move a lot off of enthusiasm. So if that's not there, it's not going to work for me. And that's what I told her. And she didn't really understand, but but I did the best that I could.
Well, she was probably just, you know, trying to make her money and stuff like that. I think network marketing companies are great for hustlers. But for people that want to change the world, that's where that internal conflict comes in a little bit. It's like, I hear you. I see the income opportunities, but then you're telling me, then what you're telling me is how much money I can make is more important than the impact that I want to make.
Right.
So now it's like, no, like it's different. Because even my mom, she had told me, she called me like, yo, you need to get into this because, so she works with Legal Shield. So I have the membership. I think they have a great membership.
Right.
But to be a rep is a totally different thing. But she was like, the income or the, what is it called? The compensation plan has changed. You can make all this money, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, now I feel insulted. And I told her, I was like, I feel insulted because now I feel like you telling me, take away from what I'm trying to build to create a great life for me, for you, for my kids. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now you telling me to take away from that to go push this to make the money? No, I don't care about that. You know what I'm saying?
And just based upon entrepreneurship, right? So like that, to me, that goes back to like sales 101. Because if you're a salesman, you got to be able to listen more intently than anything else. You got to know your customer. In order to know your customer, you got to ask them questions.
So and get them to tell you your pain points, and then you can sell to what they want as opposed to what you think that they need.
And to that point, it even goes to like what a lot of regular people do. And for a lot of people that know me well, like I have a hard time, I guess, taking instruction from a lot of people because when I kind of break it down and I see when other people are giving me advice, like how many of us have ran across, you know, and you know, like even on the podcast and everything, like within your entrepreneurial journey, and I know like people like Tish and everything, you know, she just quit her job. Tatum, I know you just left and everything. It's like stages. And that's why I say like it's gonna test you how bad you want it. Because in the early stages, I think Raven talked about it at the event. In the beginning stages, you have like family and friends that contact you all the time over because they know you on your own now and they feel like you got all the time in the world. Like actually you don't. It's an illusion. You know? And then there's people that want to cheapen you and want your services or your product for, you know, for the low or whatever it else is, you know, and then you got to stand firm with that. So like the family and friends struggle, the time struggle, like it's a lot of that like put in one. And when you make it through, it makes you tougher. It makes you stronger to be able to do that. That's why I say like within ownership, it's you know, it's how you carry yourself. It's how you defend whatever you represent, you know, within yourself, within anything else. You know, Milan, I heard you talk about on a previous pod, like knowing when to walk away or knowing when to say no within certain things. That's also the same thing too. because you can't sell to the unsellable.
Right.
You cannot sell to the unsellable. You can't within money, within finances. I don't try to convince people on anything. It's more farming than it is hunting. So because I had to do a lot of education. The financial industry is very, very highly regulated, and it's one of those things where you gotta just plant that seed, because most of the time a lot of people are hunting for clients and blah 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 blah. You got to do what's in their best interest. Otherwise, you could lose your license, and I am not losing my license.
I know that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So yeah, I mean, but you asked the wealth question, like you said.
Right. How do you develop that mindset for wealth so we don't get caught up in the traps of the money, and we're able to really make our money, calm down some. You get hyped when you start your business, you start to get some coins coming in. You be like, oh man, but to calm down some, to of course celebrate that, but to calm down some and really plan for the future, and then develop that mindset so that you can have the discipline to actually plan for the future and not just be making it rain and all that stuff.
Oh man, yeah, definitely. So, well, I'll just say within the foundation of what your financial, the foundation of your finances should be built upon protection, debt management, emergency fund, and then investing. So first things first, within protection, life insurance, health insurance, long-term care, disability if you need it, those type of things, because everybody needs that, you know what I mean? And even if you don't, it's the process of checking this one thing off and then the next thing and then the next thing and the next thing, so that's number one. Number two, within debt management, I mean, if you're an adult and you're working, most of us have debts. But the key is to have a plan to eliminate that debt eventually. Because most people, I mean, we just kind of act like debt is a foregone conclusion. We're just supposed to have it and live with it forever. No, we got to have a plan. When are you going to be debt free? And then while you're in the process of paying that off, don't accumulate any major new stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the trap that we kind of stay in for a lot of people. And then after that, emergency fund, having 3 to 6 months of your income set aside. Usually it takes most people a year to really build that up and put it aside. So, if your expenses a month are if your expenses are $2,000 a month, then, you should have $6,000 to $12,000 saved up, in a savings account and a mutual fund to pull from in case, you lose your job or you have an unexpected expense, wherever you can have it where it's somewhat liquid, where you can pull a case in the case of an emergency. And then once you have those 3 layers stacked up, that's when, you can focus on major investing. So, your stocks, your mutual funds, for those that want to start a business or do this or do that, that's the proper way in order to set aside that foundation. Now, within entrepreneurship, I know we kind of flip things around a little bit because even if we don't have that foundation set, we kind of go major into investing in ourselves.
Right.
Which is cool. And even if you don't have that, because me and Tish was talking about this last week, even if you don't have that foundation set, you can still do the investing in yourself, but you could be okay, your money is here, but once you really start seeing some success that you want in these coming months, let's let's check this part off here. Let's get the life insurance here. Let's get the long-term care here. You know what I'm saying? You probably you aiming to make some big sales here. So let's beef up that emergency fund, which means you got to knuckle down on all of this. Even with Tish, I'm a shout her out again on that. When she told me she was quitting her job, I mean, technically she's not a client of mine, but she is a friend, right? So when she told me she was quitting her job, and she was like, I'm aiming for April, after my birthday and everything. I got this event. I'm like, okay, that's a good plan. You got potential clients that you're working with now, and then the event's gonna bring some more traction. Cool, I get it. So, but when whenever Chance the Rapper announced his tour, and one of the dates was June 3rd or something, right? And she was all over Facebook. It's oh my God, I'm gonna go see Chance. So I was I think I talked to her the next day. I was so, I mean, I'm not saying I don't even know how much tickets are, but I was like, you just told me 3 days ago that you quit your job, and a month after you quit your job, you're gonna go to a concert in Virginia. Like, I know you want to see Chance, but that's not a priority right now. You know, and that was more me speaking about somebody that's been there.
Right.
Like you quit your job, money's tight, emergency fund is going slim real quick. Like, that's not a wise decision to make.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna be paying your expenses, you're gonna be investing in yourself, and now you're gonna do something frivolous like go to a concert. Like, nah, let's make some money first. How about that? Let's make some money.
How about that?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was just one of them things. So I mean, with the foundation and having that within entrepreneurship, you know, you can tackle, you know, still those foundational principles while investing in yourself. It makes it a little bit tougher because your money's kind of like coming and going, and you're overloading in one spot. But I think it still can be done.
So I think that was a great point, how you brought up how, you know, she was leaving her job, but she wanted to go to the Chance the Rapper concert. So that's a real life situation for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
You know that this is what your plan is and this is what you're doing, but then something comes up that you really, really want. So again, it takes that discipline and that mental toughness to be like, to deprive yourself of what it is that you really want, especially when entrepreneurship, when you're living technically the lifestyle that you want, or you have the freedom that you want, and doing what you want to do have gotten you where you need to be in business. You know what I'm saying? To deprive yourself of something like that, especially when it comes to money, is like really, really hard. And I know me, I'll convince myself why I need something. You know what I mean? Like, I've been working hard. Like, I could go see Kendrick. Like, you know what I'm saying? So how can we really develop that mental toughness?
Well, let's say like this. So, to the everyday person that's not an entrepreneur, you know, we have our circles, we have our people that, you know, we confide to, that, you know, we talk to. You know, I think even within being transparent within your goals, you got to have people that hold you accountable within that too. Because just like, you know, Tisha's a coach, you're a coach, and many other people as well. It's got to be the same way even within your money. Right. And, you know, so kind of like for me, that's what I do. And for my clients, I mean, I have a lot of good clients, but even the people that's not clients, I have a lot of people that are not there yet, not ready to open some accounts within, you know, building their wealth or anything like that. But I still kind of coach them, old and young, you know. So, but when they talk to me, you know, I have a little bit of an objective position, but looking at the things that they're talking about, I'd be like, yo, hold on. Last time we talked, you were talking about doing this. I know how much you make. So like, how is this all adding up? You know what I mean? So like, you know, you're moving, or you want to get this car, you want to do this, you want to do that. That's not really adding up. Like, where is this? That's why I got to ask them questions. It's not to shame them. But I'm just like, you know, where is this extra money coming from? You know? And for my younger clients, or even just friends, like even Jessica at the from the State of Your 20s event, she put up something on the Instagram stories, and she was like when your paycheck and your tax refund hit the same day, she was like celebrating, ooh, yeah. So so I was like, yo, you need to start investing that then, you know, just throwing little hints.
You a buzzkill. You a buzzkill. You are supposed to be, but that's so funny.
You're supposed to be. You know, here's why I say that though, within the tax refund, because, you know, I mean, I'm not a tax person, but I hate how all of that's structured, because I'm understanding, like, you know, business and retail and how all that's structured to make you spend and make the money flow in different areas. There's 3 times of the year where within the American economy, they expect people to spend the most. Christmas time, tax time, and back to school time. Okay? And within tax time, between like February to like April, you know, they've made it super, super easy for you to just go ahead and spend. H&R Block puts your tax return on a debit card. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yes, they give it to you fast. You know what I'm saying?
Lord.
You can get an advance on the thing. I haven't got a return in 3 years, so I don't know. But I see that's what they do. Like back in the day, you used to have to wait 6 weeks or whatever else it is. Now they'll do your taxes, and then in a week give you back the return in advance, and then they'll process it, and they'll give it to you on a debit card. You know what I'm saying? You got dealerships in the hood that say, we don't even wait till for your return to come. Bring us your W-2 to the dealership. You ain't never seen a hood dealer like that?
No. What? Where you been?
It's dealers.
Where you driving Uber at?
It's dealers in the hood. Go to Temple Hills, down St. Barnabas Road.
Oh Lord.
Go to some of them dealers. They got signs out front around tax time and say, "Bring us your W-2." They'll have a tax person right next to the finance person at the dealer, and I don't know if they'll do your taxes right there, but they'll estimate your return, and then they'll put that.
So you can start planning what you're gonna do with that money already.
Yo, yeah, exactly. I mean, like we already do that, but damn, the dealers is doing that.
That is crazy. That is so crazy.
Because April is always the biggest car buying month of the year.
Really?
April, I think it's April, and then second is December.
Wow.
April because it's tax time. December because dealers have to get rid of that year's inventory at the end of the year. So you always see end of the year sales around Christmas and everything else because they're getting ready for the next year's models. So a lot of people that's smart, they buy cars at the end of the year. You know, people don't want to be at the dealership in the cold anyway.
Right.
But they buy cars at the end of the year and they get, good discounts off of them because they're trying to. It's like clearance, like Black Friday. They got to get rid of. They got to get rid of that inventory. So, but I'm just saying that because, like, now that I know that with their money, I'm like they're trying to engineer people to spend. And then the other times, I mean, Christmas time, we know everybody moves to spend during the holidays. Back to school time, it's not just like, buying pencils and paper. It's, because think about it, it's elementary, middle, high school, and then it's college. So laptops, so you had the Staples and the Best Buy and the Targets and the Walmarts and it's not like between August and September, it's a huge transition because not just kids going back to school, but people with families, they're stopping their vacations, they're going back to work. It's a mindset shift. Football starts back up. Like in September, a lot of things shift within the economy. So therefore, like, when they're getting ready for that within the sales within August, like it moves people to spend a lot more in those areas. So
that's crazy. So what I got from your conversation was some actionable tips, you guys, that you can take away was, one, have people in your corner that you're able to be vulnerable enough with to actually talk about money. Because that's like a taboo subject. It's like, don't ask me about my money. You know what I mean? Right. So you have to have people that's in your corner that you can actually be transparent like that with about your goals, about your finances, about what you're trying to accomplish and stuff like that, so they could check you. And not people that's trying to clock your income, but people that's just going to be like, hey, look, like he said, you can't go see Chance the Rapper. Like, that's not what you can do right now.
You can't get them red bottom, sis.
Exactly. You can't go spend $2,000 on some shoes that you can't even walk in. Like,
because
you shady.
Because you think about it, like, within friends, within family, we're transparent with a lot of things, but not really about the money.
Right.
And within, like, I guess myself as a planner or an advisor, like, people will take advice, especially even with money. People will take advice from someone they trust versus someone they don't trust more often. So, like, I could be the expert, but if you don't know me, you're not going to listen to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas, so-and-so, you'll listen to them, even if it's bad advice, because you trust them. Right. So what I have to do is not just with the logistical education, I have to also build a level of trust within people. That's why I just try to be patient and then just say whatever I can within your situation that applies to something that you may not have knew before that may help you on your path. So to the wealth point, you can have people that hold you accountable, but you can also, going back to your why and like how bad do you want things, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, really to me, that's the test, and I think, within how much we spend money on a day-to-day basis, when you kind of take inventory, like, damn, I spent this, blah, blah, blah. Why don't I have no money? Like, what you spend on shows what you value.
Right.
You know what I
I
mean?
posted something like that. Facebook reminded me about that. And I was like, if you could show where people spend most of their money, then you can show what they actually value. And the same thing for time. If you see where people spend a lot of their time, then you can see what they value.
Right. Exactly.
And something else I got from what you said, another tip is that you have to understand the system, understand how money works and how things are engineered and how the theys of the world are trying to orchestrate your spending habits. Because then once you can figure that out, then I think it makes you a little bit more mentally tough to be able to resist it. Because I know me, I'm a natural rebel. So if I feel like, so now I'm thinking about it like, oh, y'all want me to spend money? I ain't spending nothing. You know what I mean? That's my attitude. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my attitude. So if with me knowing myself, if that's how I got to mentally trick myself to not spend money, being like, they want you to spend money, they not, I keep saying, I don't like saying they, but whatever. But they don't want African Americans to have this type of wealth and things like that. And the theys of the world are playing on our poor spending habits. So if we like educate ourselves on how the system works and how we're kept in this circle of poverty, you know what I mean, or just making it to middle class, and not that many of us really get to that wealth point. If we really educate ourselves on how that work, I think we can then figure out a solution that works for us to try to regulate our individual habits a little bit better.
Let me make a quick point, even related to that, and it's about like opportunity, because especially nowadays, the world moves very fast without any warning beforehand. Like something could change overnight. It's the same thing. I mean, I guess this is what experts are for. Like we kind of let people know what's coming or what could possibly change, but that ain't always the case. But like, it's also being opportunistic within whatever your field is or whatever could affect you coming forward. Because, I could use the example of Uber in the sense where like, 3 to 5 years ago, I mean, this didn't exist. And, we were still relying on cabs and things like that to get around. And now it's totally revolutionized transportation. But even for me, I knew, about 2 years ago, I was like, yo, this self-driving car thing is coming. Whether people want it or not, it's coming. Right. And the question is when and how fast is it gonna take for people to adapt to it. So I was like, yo, like I'm not comfortable with Uber and Lyft, but I know I've been able to create some consistency with it. Right. And not just money, but it's like, because when I first started, I saw it as marketing. I saw it as like, yo, I can get to know people in the, about. So I was like, yo, I got to create something out of this. So that's where the podcast idea came in. So even having the vision for the podcast, I mean, it's podcast first. I'm going to write a book talking about the stories too. I'm going to do a short film. But the whole purpose of it is to build a platform to build my brand and anybody else that wants to be on as well. So it's branding more than it's marketing. And so for however long that is and whatever Uber and Lyft transition to, if I can build that up for myself before we get to this point, because I don't know what the world's going to look like when we get to self-driving cars and Ubers and Lyfts is flying all over the place. So, but whatever it is, when I got a following of 500,000, you know what I'm saying? And people know my name, I've accomplished my goal within that. And whatever it morphs into, then I can transition that to anything I want. So that's that's what that represents to me. You know what I mean? So it could be the same thing with anything else. As an entrepreneur, staying aware of whatever's in your industry and what you can take advantage of, what's a threat. I know a lot of entrepreneurs talk about you got to be able to put yourself out of business, meaning that before something even becomes a threat, you got to nip it in the bud to either do it yourself or to, shake hands, kiss babies or whoever that is in order to not cause no problems, So I think it's the same thing with money. Like we got to be like entrepreneurial within our finances to the point where we take charge of it and we take ownership within what we do. So if it is reviewing what you spent your money on with friends or by yourself, now you got to have an honest conversation with yourself. You know what I'm saying? And figure out, why am I spending money here and there? Like, what does this all represent? If I need to, back in the day when I used to buy Jordans every Saturday. Why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
What does it really mean?
Mm-hmm.
My mom used to get on me. She'd be like, Marcus, you got all these shoes. You ain't got no clothes. You wearing T-shirts every day.
Mm-hmm.
But your shoes is nice, but you ain't got no clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, so it's like, yo, why do I need all of that? Like, is it a self-esteem boost? Am I trying to impress somebody?
Right.
Like, what is it? That my worth is greater than what I got on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's those honest conversations sometimes we got to have with ourselves. So, and I think to your point about our community, I think a lot of people, we have to shift our mind around placing value in things that's not external. So that's more internal. And sometimes you just got to have that honest conversation in order to do that, to build up your own self-worth to the point where, like, look, I don't need this. I don't need that. Like, I'd rather buy a book and stimulate my mind more than anything. And that's gonna be way cheaper than buying this bag or going out here. You know what I mean? I'm building up myself, and even within that, I don't need validation from anybody else.
Right.
You know, so it's deep though, but it's just things that we got to do.
Right. I think that's a good point. And even going back to where people spend their money. Like when you invest in yourself or you make the decision that you're going to be an entrepreneur, investing in yourself is like a given, right? So you have to go back to that budget and figure out where can I skim from? And that's something that I did when I first started my business. I was working at a job. I literally made $38,000 a year that was before taxes. So I ain't take home. My check was like $1,000 a month. I mean, $1,000, $2,000 a month. Like what? What am I doing? Like not so. That meant I couldn't leave. I had to stay home. I couldn't move out on my own. I couldn't afford it. That meant that in order for me to invest in myself, so what I used to do was when I had to pay for like my website, my logo, the LLC, like all of those startup costs and stuff, I was like, yo, I have to figure out what to do with my money. But at the time, I kept my bills low. So I had to pay for it was like my car and like phone and stuff. Right. But then even then, like food, I had to feed myself. So like what I would do is I would go to the store. So instead of going out to lunch, let's say if I didn't have enough money to go, well, I had the money. I just was trying not to spend it to go to like Chipotle or something. I would go to the grocery store and get like a TV dinner for like $3 and come back to work and make it in the microwave because I had to save the money. But then even going... even like had to take it a step further to where I had got a job after that, my job that I just left. So I was making decent money there. So I was able to live on my own. I was able to take care of myself. But then I realized that I needed a business coach and had to figure out how the heck I was going to pay for her. You know what I mean? Right. So then I had to go back to the budget like, okay, you done added on these crazy living expenses living in the D.C. area. Like I lived in Alexandria. That bill was crazy. You know what I mean? So you don't want to live in the hood. So you got to live somewhere decent. So it's going to cost money. So I'm looking at my budget like I had to cut my grocery budget down. I had PB&J so much. I had spaghetti. I can get like a good week off spaghetti. You know what I mean? And just having to do so much, like getting somebody to buy me a coffee maker because I love coffee. So I don't got to keep buying it, getting people to buy. Like I had to really do a lot of stuff. And it was just difficult. And even now going into, working for myself, I don't have the luxury of that paycheck anymore, even still. So now, not only do I got to live, I got to still continue to put back into the business and make sure that it's profitable. So it takes a lot of humbling to be able to do those things because here, like, it's so easy to get, like, thrown off track here. It's always a day party. It's always a brunch that turns into a day party. So you be at the club or the restaurant, whatever, from like 11 a.m. to 2 in the morning. You trying to figure out what happened because you've been there all day. Like it's always something to do. It's always a festival. It's always something. Always. So it's humbling. And like you said, you got to sometimes be sitting in a room by yourself while everybody is having fun. Like, did I really choose this life? Like,
But you know what? Even with that point, though, like I think for a lot of people that have that conversation, when you get caught in that cycle, you kind of almost feel like when is it going to end? Because you feel like I mean, entrepreneurship can be one of the most fulfilling things you do in your life, right? And so therefore, whether you're in college or you're out of college or anything else. You get to a point where you just like, yo, like I'm doing this every Friday, every Saturday, every Sunday. I'm going to work. Like, what does it all really mean? Like, I think a lot of people do that, and then they still don't feel fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, like you said, you had that self-check, and you kind of evaluate where you're at. Like, what moves do I need to make in order to make something out? And it's okay to try stuff, too. It's okay to, like, you know, explore and experiment and see, you know, what kind of fits you. I mean, I think that's part of life, especially before you have a lot of major, you know, responsibilities. So, I see a lot of people do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think that a lot of people don't have. I don't see a lot of people that have a real clear vision of a lot of things, and even if they do, they get very distracted to the point that you said, and kind of like, you know, veer off really quickly. For me, a lot of those lessons I've learned the hard way, just from making my own mistakes, and you know. I know my mom is one that really kind of like holds me accountable, but it's to the point where now, like I'm able to hold myself accountable with it in a lot of things. But the talks that I need now, other than talks with myself, I talk to my dad because my dad, I mean, because he fully transparency, he knows the path that I'm on. So he'll just ask me, like, I'll probably go to see him like every Sunday, or we'll talk every Sunday. He'd be like, Marcus, how's the grind coming? Like, you know, I know, you know, you got the office and you're doing this and you're doing that, you know, you're doing these speaking engagements, and you got these clients, like, just checking on you, see how things going. Because for me, if it's dire, I'll come to him, you know, and be like, you know, I need some help with this. And he'll just be like, you know, tell you what to do. That story I told y'all about the tire and everything, he was the first person I called. And it wasn't even like to ask for help.
Well, for the people who don't know, you got to tell them that story.
To make a long story short.
That was a funny story, though.
That nobody laughed at. But yeah, to make a long story short, one Sunday, I did a lift out to Rockville from somewhere DC to Rockville. And
how far is that from for our out of the country and out of the state?
International one?
Yes.
It's probably about, the time wise, it was probably about 25, 30-minute drive. You know, hopped on GW Parkway, then took 270 up, you know, several miles, probably about 20 miles, 25 minutes. So, but it's out the way for a lot of people. Like it's, you know, northwest. And so I get up there, and mind you, so it was a couple of weeks before, basically, I got in an accident at 4 a.m. around Union Station, and I messed up 3 of my tires. And I had to get all new tires on 3 of them. And I got 2, but 1 needed a replacement rim and tire, so I had to order the rim. And so, you know, I was stuck in it by riding on the donut way too long, right? Lesson learned. Don't do that. So that's what I did on this trip, riding from DC to Bethesda on a Sunday afternoon. And, you know, all of a sudden I'm on 270 and the wheel's shaking. I'm like, I know
somebody in the car, like,
somebody's in the
looking
car,
crazy. Dang.
I think he had his headphones on. I don't know if he saw it or heard it, but wheels start shaking. So you know, it's like the faster you go, you know, the wheels start shaking more. So I'm like, let me slow down, you know. And luckily, I made it to where he was going successfully. But after I dropped him off, basically I'm rolling down, wheel start shaking some more, and then wheel went pop.
Oh my God.
You know, donut is not like a typical, you know, donut is not like a typical tire, you know. And so the donut popped. I'm like, shoot, man. Sunday. And here's the really thing that made me the most mad, right? The street I was on in Rockville, for anybody that knows what this area is, there was a Lexus dealership, an NTB, and a Toyota dealership across the street. So I was like, at least I'm in good company. I can just go to the dealer and get this junk fixed, like right now. All right. I reveal all this. Again, it's the donut. I parked in the Lexus dealership. I asked them if they could fix it. They said they couldn't do it. I just asked if they had like a replacement donut that I could just buy and then just put on. They said, no, we don't do that. We don't sell those. NTB was closed. and Toyota dealership was open, but the service department was closed.
Dang.
So I was like, like, why are you closed on a Sunday? Like, I go to dealerships all the time on Sunday. But anyway, so I'm like, damn. So I called my dad. I said, Dad, you know, I think I've told him about the accident, but I'm like, I was riding on the donut went flat. Like, what do you suggest I do? The dealership's closed, blah, blah. You know, I said, He's like, I don't know, son. I mean, you know, you probably do this and probably do that. And I don't know if it's just because we men and we just like roughing it sometimes. He was like, look, you know, I mean, you could just, I mean, I know you don't want to like take a trip back home and then go back up there and wait for the dealership to open. You could just sleep in the car and
What?
and thug it a little bit and then just go ahead and wait till they open up first thing in the morning, get it fixed, and then go on about your way. I said, yeah, I consider that. Let me think about it some more. I'll let you know what I decide. So I did a lift to, I did a riding lift to the CarMax. Their service department was closed too. Had a good convo with the driver, and he said, here's a good idea. He said, why don't you buy a AAA membership and do the tow thing. My insurance didn't do roadside service, so that's why I didn't do that. And plus, I don't like calling my insurance company if it's something that's my fault. I'm about to raise my rates. So I said, okay. I said, but if you do that, Marcus, get the AAA membership, and you can't call them for 24 hours because if you buy it now, it's not going to be active for 24 hours. So you gotta let them know afterwards. So that was on a Sunday. I said, you know what? That's a good idea. So here's what I did. I left the car at the NTB parking lot. I called NTB the next morning and told them that my car was in the parking lot because they would tow your car if you know you're not getting service done. And so I was like, okay, cool. I took the Metro. I didn't take a lift, but I took a Metro and Lyft home, and then went back up in the morning. Went back up in the evening, and called the AAA like around 10 something. The merchants that in Alexandria where I was getting my car done, they were getting the rim in that Tuesday. So that Monday night, I had it towed at like midnight from Rockville to Alexandria to have it done. Took a long time, but got it done. Left it, you know, with the wheel messed up in the parking lot. You know, called NTB in the morning. Went by there and said, look, this is my car. Y'all got my wheel. Y'all got my tire. You know, I'm ready to get the service done. And that was that. You know, took a little while, but it worked out.
Guess you had to use that emergency fund is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
That sounded like a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was great lesson learned, but it was a lot.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I'm just saying that to say, like, within counsel and everything, like, everybody's different. Some people may need, you know, someone on a regular basis to kind of talk to. But me, I kind of find a lot of solutions when I'm able to talk to myself and just kind of like talk it out loud and figure it out and just maybe have an audience. You know what I'm saying? But my dad is one of those people that I do with pretty often because it's not like I need, you know, do this, do that. Like, no, I can figure it out. Just give me some options.
Okay, so I want to switch gears a little bit.
Sure.
And I want to talk about retirement.
Okay.
So when you have a full-time job, of course, you have that little retirement account. You put your money towards it. Your company may match it, whatever, depending on what their policy is. But when you're a full-time entrepreneur, it's a little bit different.
Oh, yeah.
So how do full-time entrepreneurs set themselves up for retirement? And then the second part to that question is, how do you build off of whatever retirement you may have already had from that full-time job? Okay,
so within traditional retirement, you know, most people that have jobs, and especially in this area for a lot of people that work for the government and everything, they may have, you know, the TSPs and whatnot, which is basically a 401k with a different name. You know, also you may have IRAs and Roth IRAs and things like that. What other retirement? Like a lot of things under those, you know, a lot of those type of accounts basically grow tax deferred, you know, things like that. And they're in the market, so they're variable. So they go up and down with the market. As an entrepreneur, you know, we have what we call SEP IRAs, which are designed for the self-employed. So, you know, they're structured a little bit. They still have the tax shelter, meaning that the taxes are deferred, but it's structured differently. That's not attached to a specific company. So it's like more just on you.
Right.
I know a lot of people that know about the Roth, and for those that don't, Roth IRA is a tax advantage. Well, first of all, IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for those that know about the Roth just means tax shelter, meaning that it's tax advantage, where the money you put in is quote unquote earned income, meaning it's already been income taxed, so they're not going to tax you in the account.
Mm-hmm.
And so within that, a lot of people are attracted to the Roth because it ends up growing tax advantaged, and with a good interest rate for most accounts, and it has mainly just that. But what I would say to entrepreneurs, if you plan on making a lot of money within your career, there's an income requirement or income restriction within it. So I think for single people, it's like $121,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
If you're married, I think it's 181, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a limit to how much money you can put into it. So if you plan on making millions of dollars, there's no point in getting it wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So just something to think about.
Or at least get it for now.
Yeah, you can get it for now,
Yeah.
but it's an option. I mean, it's good to know what's available before, so you can plan things out.
Right.
Also, for a lot of people that plan on seriously saving, we have what we call cash value life insurance, with a lot of different accounts. And basically, insurance is not defined as an investment, so therefore they can't tax it as that. But it can have a lot of benefits to grow, as well as have those same tax advantages like the Roth. So a lot of people can also take advantage of that, where you can have the insurance portion, but also have a savings portion that grows. So a lot of those are really like the most popular that I see for entrepreneurs, and just where, if you have multiple businesses, or if you plan on being really flexible within a lot of different things, you can kind of build your own nest egg for retirement.
So speaking of insurance, you brought that up a couple times, and I think that life insurance is something that's extremely important that people don't really talk about, especially us being young.
Yeah.
We think that, we're going to live forever, or this is something that we don't need to think about until we're our grandparents' age. Because you see those commercials with the family in the house, and they sit auntie down, and they're like, "We have something that we need to talk about. Do you have a life insurance policy?" Like those silly commercials, but we don't really talk about it as 20-somethings. But then, something happens, and then GoFundMe accounts are popping up everywhere because people aren't prepared for what could happen. And I, to be honest, I feel like if for some places you didn't have to have even car insurance, people wouldn't have it. You know what I'm saying? So can you talk a little bit about the importance of life insurance and how that is essential to your financial portfolio?
I'm glad you brought that topic. That's a very, very great topic to bring up. Just for the record, everybody needs life insurance. Every single person, from babies to old people. Like every single person needs life insurance. And here's why. If you're young, let's put it this way. If you're 18 and you're working, like you are bringing in income, and which means that with those responsibilities, you are a financial burden on somebody if you pass away. Because if you pass away, somebody has to bury you. Somebody has to have a service for you, and somebody has to deal with whatever assets or liabilities that you have once you pass. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you have debts, they also have death tax. Like you get taxed when you die. So
that's crazy.
So
can't get away from it.
Right. So even if you're single and don't have no kids, all of that still has to happen. So I don't care how much life insurance it is. So it would be wise to put that aside for someone to prepare for your death.
Right.
Just on that basis alone, that's why everybody needs life insurance. And even for babies. You can get life insurance on a child. And within life insurance, I think the mindset has to shift within the masses to not think about it as something you have to die in order to use, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, when someone buys life insurance on you, it's not a negative thing that they're betting on your death.
It won't kill you like Snap or something.
It wants to kill you. Here's another thing to think about is entrepreneurs too. They have what we call buy-sell insurance for partners in a business. So if you have a partner in your business, or Milan has a partner with this business, or a Black Girl Boss is incorporated, and y'all are partners together, and all of a sudden y'all want to have a buy-sell agreement in order to, if something happens to Tatum, if something happens to Milan, when this business goes forward, who is responsible for what? Right. And how much share, based upon your ownership share, how does that function, and who does it get passed down to? Right. Same thing within disability and everything else. So it's a plan in place that when you incorporate your business, that in any of these outcomes, here's the process of how things go. If Tatum gets sick, if Tatum dies, if Milan gets sick, if Milan dies, does it pass on to a spouse? Does it pass on to a child? Does it pass on to this random person over here? Right. Because it's unfair to the performance of the business if one of the partners can't perform anymore. Right. So these are things that you can plan out as a business person, as an entrepreneur. Trying to think of anything else within life insurance.
Let me know if I'm wrong with this. I feel like I've heard this before, but some plans you can even use them, I wouldn't say as a savings account, but you can pull from the life insurance policy if you get into some sort of financial hardship. Is that right?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I want to make sure I was right.
There are accounts to do that. That's kind of what I was trying to hit on within the retirement options for entrepreneurs. Right. Yeah, there are life insurance policies that have the insurance portion as well as the savings portion, which is called cash value. Not every policy has it. The only policies that have it are permanent policies. So you can't get it on the term. So term policies just have insurance. You know what I mean? But you can, there are policies that have a cash value element. There are also policies where you can add riders that based upon a certain thing in life that you can tap into it. So let's say if you become terminally ill, if you become disabled, if it's a joint policy within married people, if the first spouse dies or the second spouse dies, like tapping into it, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of different ways, but yes, to answer your question, there are policies like that.
Yeah. So, where are some places that they can go look to explore these different type of policies?
Ooh, good question.
Other than Google, because my answer is always just Google it.
Well, I know for my company, we're partnered with Transamerica. Okay. And for them, that's our preferred provider. So a lot of our products, we work with them. Our other provider, Prudential, Nationwide, ING, which is now Voya. Those are the people that we work with most often. Even with the podcast, I can probably put out some links that people can go to. Yeah. Even when people purchase life insurance, they have what we call a buyer's guide that kind of goes through and explains the basics of, what life insurance is and how it works. Right. And the different options of how you can do. But I would say at least go to like the Transamerica website, like search for that. It has a lot of details on it. Even if, I can send it to you guys that you can send out to your followers, or even if they want to follow me, I'll put it out there as well.
So you guys get on our email list. We're going to send it out to everyone on our list. Go to blackgirlbosses.com and sign up for our email list so you can get all of the resources and stuff that we're talking about in the show. So one last question before we get to the takeaways part. I want you to talk a little bit about how you pay yourself as a full-time entrepreneur. Ooh, yes. How much? And then when do you decide, you know what, I can get a raise? Not you feel like you deserve a raise, but when does your finances say, what is that point where you can know that, okay, I'm able to give myself a raise now?
Okay. Oh, this is a great topic.
And I also want to point out, we didn't even really get into this too much, that you should separate your business money from your personal money, you guys. Don't be out here using the same daggone card for everything. And I think that'll mess people up tax time if you don't know what you're doing, which 9 times out of 10 in the beginning, you don't really know what you're doing.
I think it's true. I mean, and I've been there before. It's stages to things, you know what I mean? Because if you have a side hustle, in a way, you could probably get by on a lot of that before, and then just maybe like you track your expenses. And when it comes to tax time, with your tax person explaining like what your business expenses are, what transactions you made for your business, and what that means, and then kind of working that all in. Because I know my first year, 2013 maybe, that was the first year I did W-2 and 1099, and then since then it's been all 1099.
Right.
So like it's
1099 to other people or for yourself.
1099 is for yourself. 1099 is self-employed. So yeah, it's been, so like for that, it was, it basically kind of like evened out for me, and that was 2013 was the last year I got a return. So, but as you grow, I mean, that kind of goes into paying yourself. There comes a stage where you realize like, yo, okay, now I need to separate all this, like separate account, blah, 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 blah. And I will say this, within even having an account for business or for personal, my mom probably taught me one of the most valuable lessons within money. That kind of goes hand in hand to what I talked about within the foundation. She said, like, when you get paid, your money should be divided up in 4 ways. Like your bills, what she said, bills, tithing.
Of course. All Black moms will tell you to tithe.
Bills. I mean, and people can define it however they want, tithing or giving back or whatever else it is. So bills, tithing, the disposable income, and saving or paying yourself first. So I think that kind of evolves, because if the saving is to a necessary point of an emergency fund, again, I recommend 3 to 6 months, but everybody can have a level where they feel is comfortable for them. And that saving may later on turn into investing, within whatever else you want to do. But splitting it up that 4 ways, I think, puts it in perspective to a point where, like, yo, if only 1/4 of my income should be going towards bills, if I'm living beyond that, like, yo, I need to either cut down my expenses or I need to make more money. Right.
Or both.
Or both. Or both. So, so even within that, you can do the same thing for business. You know what I mean? Like within Rideshare Confessions, like, being incorporated and everything, I'm doing the same thing where the expenses are pretty low. The gift is tough, because the giving part, I'm thinking about tax wise, like what I want, like donate to cut down on the taxes.
Oh my gosh. You're supposed to donate out the kindness of your heart or out of religious obligation, but not,
hey, look here,
let me see how much I need to give to cut down my taxes.
Do not care about that. No, he want his money.
Mr. IRS ain't playing.
Look, man, it's real. But the IRS don't care. They want, deductions is deductions. So anyway, but you can set it up the same way within your expenses, your monthly expenses, what you're giving back, what you're paying yourself first, and then what your, what's the fourth one I said?
Saving.
Your disposable income.
Oh, okay.
So you can set it up within the 4 ways, and that kind of keeps in perspective of like, yo, like that should be your model. I know we kind of shift within that a lot of times, but that kind of keeps you balanced, and that should be like the aim. And if you're living beyond that within your business or your person, then you need to bring things in perspective. But you said, what was the question you asked?
How do you figure out, first of all, how do you pay yourself, and how do you figure out how much? And then when can you say it's time that I'm at a point where I can get a raise?
Okay. I recommend starting between 5 and 10% and of your income, and then building upon that. It's definitely a consistency game, because it's very easy to get off track and everything. I think a lot of people, let's put it like this: Uncle Sam takes your money before you even see it. So like, if Uncle Sam can jack you for your money, like, you can at least pay yourself something, right? No matter what it is you're comfortable with. And it's not the mindset of just, you need a purpose with your saving, if that makes sense. Because if you're just saving just to save, then you easily can fall off track. But if it's for a specific purpose, like the emergency fund, or let's say, like, a lot of people, we may just save because we want to buy something, right? That's cool. That has its place. But even within finances, like I talked a little bit about different products too. There are products that and this is I think what the wealthy and the rich think about within money, within investing, within saving. Their purpose is to build so much of a bulk of consistency of saving to basically become your own bank.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't talk about this a little bit, but I'll break it down in a minute. The rule of 72, probably the most profound rule on money ever created.
Mm-hmm.
It's the law of compound interest. It was developed by Albert Einstein. Basically, when you take the number 72 and you divide it by your interest rate, it will tell you how long it takes your money to double.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is, quick example. Let's say you have an account with $100 in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's say that account has 1% interest. That means you take 72 divided by 1, that equals 72. So that means if you just put that $100 in there for, and just let it grow at 1%, it's going to take 72 years for that 100 become 200.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take 72 more years for that 200 to become 400. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why with whatever bank you have, within those CDs and those mutual funds that get 0.01%, that's why it takes so long to grow.
Yeah.
Like I just said 1%.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, you do a little bit more math. Let's say it's 2%, 4%, 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%. Okay. If it's money that's working for you, balance this out. So let's say it's 4%. 72 divided by 4 is 18. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that same $100, that 100 is going to come 218 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's do 8%. That's 9 years.
Mm.
Okay. So now that 100 is doubling every 9 years. If you do 12%, that's 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So on and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple example, but that's basically how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's money working for you.
Mm-hmm.
What about money that's working against you?
Yeah, like Sally Mae.
Like Sally Mae.
Mm-hmm. Them interest rates
Them
that you
interest
don't want to be at 20%.
Right. Oh my God. Sally Mae, credit cards, car notes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
People got car notes at 10% interest or 9% interest. People got credit cards at 25% interest.
That is ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on. 72 divided by 25. That's 2.8 years. So that means if you got a credit card balance of $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
if you just paying the minimum
Mm-hmm.
in almost 3 years, that $1,000 is going to double to $2,000. But even before you get to 2 years, that means in a year, that $1,000 is going to be $1,300 just on paying the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where like breaking down interest and breaking down, compound interest. That's where like it goes against us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So within paying yourself, like a lot of times, understanding the rule of 72, when I break that down to clients, like that kind of gives a perspective, because if I show you an account where your money can grow at a high rate,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of gets you excited to be like, wow, okay, once I get to this age, I'm gonna have this much money and it's still gonna be growing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying shifting your mindset, because it's about building up the consistency and the discipline to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have an account like that will work in your favor,
Mm-hmm.
you got to keep up that discipline.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's say even with investing in stocks, like after the State of Your 20s event, I had a talk with somebody afterwards, and she asked me about stocks because she's interested in doing stocks. I've been I'm not that well versed in it, but I know enough to kind of like get things started.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been reading Tony Robbins' book Unshakable,
Mm-hmm.
and he talked about how like so many people are emotional investors because you can't be emotional when it comes to investing.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is just that, like, if you're going to be in the market, you got to be in it for the long run.
Right.
A lot of people, they want to buy a stock and hit a home run,
Mm-hmm.
or they want to buy a mutual fund and hit a home run. They want to buy $100 stock in Facebook and they want that jump to become, 5,000 in 2 years. Nah, It don't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the key is, we know the market's going to go up and down. Like experts are I'm getting technical. Experts are predicting that we're gonna hit a crash sometime soon, because we've been at a high for about 5 to 7 years,
Mm-hmm.
and we're kind of overdue for one. So, a wise person once told me a recession is just a garage sale for the rich,
Mm-hmm.
because when the stock market goes down, and things are cheap, they buy up. They buy it while it's cheap. Robert Kiyosaki, when the stock market went down in 2008, he bought a lot of real estate in Arizona. It was dirt cheap. It was like, probably $1 per square foot type stuff. You know what I mean? He bought a lot of apartment units. Okay. Now he's renting them out and he's selling them because the market is back up. He bought while it was low and he's selling when it's high, and he's going to stay in the market because he's going to do the same thing when it crashes. So on the flip side, if it's the stock market, the key is if you're buying low, buying low, selling high, like you can get all those gains when the market is high, but you can't cash out like a casino. You got to stay in and move your money like more in a fixed way. Right. So like within financial products, you got products as fixed, you got products as variable, and you got products as index. Fixed is a flat interest rate that never changes. So if you go to the bank and they give you a CD at 3%, it's going to always be 3% no matter what. If it's variable, if it's your 401k, it's going to go up and down with the market. You're going to ride that roller coaster, them highs and lows. But if it's index, there's going to be a floor and there's going to be a ceiling. So where, your floor might be 1%, your cap might be 12%. So if the market's negative, you will never lose. If the market goes high at 10, you get 10. If it goes at 11, you get 11. If it's at 12, you get 12. If it goes to 15, you cap at 12. But I'm saying that to say, no matter where you're at, you can get those gains if you're riding the wave of the market, but don't cash out. You got to move it to something fixed. That's what, before we had index accounts, that's what people used to do back in the day is you build up your retirement, you do this and that, and then you switch and take all those gains and move it to something fixed and give it that 3 or 4% just to outpace inflation, and then keep it liquid enough that you can live off of that and take from it when you need to. That's the key. Major key. So
we went off on a tangent, but that's good though, because I was taking a lot of mental notes. I think that's something I definitely want to do more research on. Yeah, because some stuff was going over my head, some stuff I got, so I'm gonna do some more research.
You see my face? I'm like.
I ain't gonna lie, some of it's going over my head.
I didn't mean to go that deep, y'all. But it was, I was flowing. But you said like paying yourself. I mean, for me, that's outside of the taxes and everything too, it's really the value of what you want it to be. So like, if I explain that to a client and like they didn't got to understand all the technical stuff and everything like that, but showing that consistency. So it's like, look, if I set you up with this account, if I give you this IRA, if I give you this mutual fund, if I give you this stock, if I give you this cash value life insurance, are you committed to pay that consistently within paying yourself? Because I'm telling you, in 20 years and 30 years and 40 years, this is what it's going to look like. And then if you want to, you can skip payments. You can stop for a little while, but you got to keep it in force.
Right. So by paying yourself, I mean literally paying you. Like, so I understand like the different accounts and stuff like that, but when you have a business, I'm talking about paying your bills, your car note, your within taking from your business, paying yourself. So in the coaching program I was in, she taught us to calculate your survival number. And in the beginning, that's what you pay yourself, however much you need to survive. Don't be out here going crazy. Right. So pay yourself that bare minimum that you need to get what you have to get done, what you have to get done. So that's the principle I go off now. Right. So, I mean, do you agree? Okay.
I agree. That seems like that's the ultimate level of accountability for yourself. Because... Because
in essence, you might be getting paid less than that. I mean, probably you're going to be getting paid less. You're going to be paying yourself less than you are getting paid at your job.
Right. Plus, let's think about it like this. So, like, for most people, when we start a business, for the life of it, it's probably going to be a private business that we own ourselves. It's not going to go public. It's not a sole, well, it could be a sole proprietorship, but it's not, all that kind of stuff, right? So, but if it was, I mean, sometimes you never know the trajectory of what your business could become.
Right.
But for that, or even for the future, what I'm learning now is once you go public, or once you announce that you want to go public, all your records are investigated because the world needs to know.
And tell the people what public means. That means that if Marcus want to buy, some of your company, stock, then he can.
Public basically means that you are open to outside funding, basically. for various reasons. It could be, quote unquote, for PR reasons. It could be for, it's not that you're in like financial straits, but it's just like you're opening to open investors to grow the value of your business. Mm-hmm. So it does help for PR, it does help for marketing, or can help for PR. But that's on a nutshell of what it means. Mm-hmm. And just because the major investors that are gonna, take stake into your business, they don't have the same vision or passion for what you started for. Mm-hmm. They're in it for the money, mm-hmm. right? So now they want to know the track record financially of what you've been up to mm-hmm. from inception to now. Mm-hmm. So, I kind of think about it like that, because if it was public, would you be embarrassed to share what you did along the way?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if it's your first business or it's things that you learn along the way, it's still one of the things where, like, even if that was discovered, like, would you be comfortable with explaining yourself? Mm-hmm. Again, going back to the accountability. Like, so yeah, for the first year, I was bringing in 5 to 10K a month for the business, but I was paying myself, $9K. Like, mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. Right.
Like, I don't know how you're going to explain that, but yeah, but people do it. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's a great rule, mm-hmm. Within, your survival, because, eventually you're probably going to need to hire someone. Mm-hmm. And when you break that down, and then you rather you humble yourself before then rather than after.
Right. You get used to that $4,000 you was getting every month, but then you got to go back to 2 mm-hmm. because you have to pay somebody. So right. I get it.
And you're a leader, so mm-hmm. you gotta put your people before you anyway.
Right.
So if you're, I've tried to shape my mind just for my own philosophy. Like, if I could, I don't know, maybe it's just a hustle mentality. I know I can make money regardless. Mm-hmm. And if I could do that and run my business and if I make myself an employee and then keep that consistent for as long as possible, no matter how many employees I can. Mm-hmm. I don't care if I'm getting paid like an intern and then I got people on my board and like different departments or what, I don't care. Mm-hmm. It's not an ego trip for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? If I could do that and, but at the same time, like, if I'm the CEO like that and I have that role, and it's like kind of like open in case I need to step down, like, how does that adjust even mm-hmm. after I'm not in that role no more? Mm-hmm. I just think about stuff like that. But I think that's a good concept, though, just because the vision of your business, like, if you wanted to grow as your baby, you're willing to make that sacrifice.
Right.
You do need to survive, but it shouldn't be about all that stuff anyway.
Right. So when does your business get to that point where you can now pay yourself more? Like, how often should you reevaluate that? How much should that increase? Because it's easy to say when you start with to say, this is your survival number, so I'm going to pay myself that. Like, okay. So now when you're past the part of just needing to survive, your business is bringing in a good amount of money. Then when do you go back and how much do you adjust?
I'm sure I think it's definitely a case-by-case basis, of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think... I know before me and you, Tatum, we talked about, like, when you're starting, you got to have an accountant, a lawyer, and probably a financial advisor in your corner mm-hmm. to kind of consult with. I think it would depend on that. So if you CFO or your books of money of what's coming in, mm-hmm. then that might be a conversation as well to have, to be like, okay, we're growing. It's been 6 months. We're growing at this rate. So even if you're having yourself as an employee, mm-hmm. Who's getting a raise first? Like, is it them? Is it me? Is it all of us? Mm-hmm. I think about 6 months is a good track record to access it. Because it's not. I don't think it's too soon to like micromanage, mm-hmm. but it's enough time to give yourself growth. Because I think you kind of want to have a track record to show consistency,
right?
Rather than like, my goal was to bring in, $50,000 in 6 months. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We slacked off for 3 and then we made up for it. Like, you want to be
consistent. Yeah.
So I think that's a good amount to start with and then reevaluate from there.
Okay, cool. So before we wrap up, did you have any questions?
No, I'm just intrigued. I'm really intrigued. You know I hate numbers, so listen, I'm just like, okay, I gotta focus here. No, but you gave a lot of great advice, and we definitely appreciate it, because that's a common question that I was receiving, and I was at a panel event when I texted you. I was at a panel event, and they were like speaking on that. And PR, your income is based off your clients, just like any business, of course. But ours is like definitely either retainer or monthly. So you will have that time where that 6-month contract runs up, and you're like, oh boy, now what? And then you have it where you have a 12-month contract, or a 24-month, or however it may be. But then when those contracts run up, like Zayden was saying, how do you know what you're getting? You've given yourself this raise, but now those clients aren't coming in.
I think that goes to y'all's selling strategy, though. Because you know, let's say I have a client that starts January, 6 months from now, they're going to be over. So you know, between maybe that 3-month mark, I need to make sure I'm figure out whatever your number is, how many clients that you need to take on in order to keep that.
If you can land them. That's the if people can
but then that goes
budget.
back to how many people you got to talk to get a client, how many touches you got to have in order for them to sign on. Like, it's all of that back end work that got to happen before you even get to the contract signing.
I think it's more so too, since we are entering an age where more millennials become entrepreneurs, they can't afford that publicist. So it comes with those
small
different
businesses
deals.
don't need publicists, though.
Well, no, it's not really small businesses. It's more like the musicians, the actors, the you know, those people. If you're in the entertainment industry, I can't speak outside the entertainment industry, but those in the entertainment industry, so many millennials are rappers now, and they're trying to make it and get exposure. Oh, I need a publicist. Okay, hey, I'm a publicist. Oh, my budget's $350.
But I think then that goes to reevaluating who your ideal client is, because in today's world with social media, they don't really need a publicist. No. Still, they just need to keep putting their music out there and keep doing things like that. The people who need the publicist are the people who have all of this money.
Ideally.
Yeah, ideally. But then it's like, why even work with somebody with a $350 budget? I know y'all don't, but that may mean that you need to shoot for the Chris Browns, or maybe diversify who you serve. So whether it be crisis management, so you can work with like Shea Moisture when they mess stuff up, or
but we also
United
have to
or whatever.
Those people that we're referring to have publicists. So you're going to look for those, you know, that may or may not have one, but 9 times out of 10, the ones that can't afford the publicist have it already. So then it's like you said, creating those different sales funnels within that. So it's like, okay, yes, you're a publicist, but what other services can you offer that will help you keep that raise and know when to pay yourself and how to pay yourself?
But then no, just because they got a publicist don't mean that you can't be their publicist, or you can't unseat that person. Like, my job that I'm leaving, like, they're a government contractor, and all the time I worked on proposals. So, and I did proposals and marketing, but all the time with proposals, it was like, okay, this is the incumbent. This is the person who has the contract now. What are their weaknesses? That comes with knowing your competitors and things like that. What are their weaknesses? What can we do? Or how can we basically shade them indirectly to unseat them from their position to get us in there?
Right. I say that to say, though, I don't know anybody who's struggling with that right now, but you know, entrepreneurs coming in as a publicist, they will struggle with that. It will be weak points in entrepreneurship where the income isn't probably what you wanted. Yeah. You know, even if you are doing everything that you're supposed to do. So I definitely appreciate you speaking on all of that.
I think with one of those things, I mean, and you know, I know you guys know the entertainment industry more than I do, but from that kind of income structure where it's contractually based. I mean, shoot, we got people in the government that kind of get stuff like that. They get temporary contracts on something. Yeah. It may be month to month. It may be 6 months. It may be a year, and that's certain income. And then next thing you know, they gotta adjust. I think definitely as an entrepreneur, you know, I think about this too within my own, I guess, essentials of what I need in order to survive. Like, how can I, at this point in my life, you know, I guess limit my expenses down to a point where like I'm good. Like, I'll be transparent with this. Here's my goal. I probably won't reach it 2016, but I must still strive for it.
Well, 2016 passed already.
I'm sorry, 2017. I want to build up. Because I told I was probably gonna do I want to do like a challenge of it, like people do the Sogon challenge or whatever it is. I want to do a emergency fund challenge. to kind of start. But I just got to formulate how I want to do it, because with their money, like when people getting people to be transparent about it and still kind of like not give all their business away, that's tough. But an emergency fund challenge to where I have an emergency fund saved up of like a year, and encouraging other people to do so. A lot of people that I meet also have, if it's emergency fund, like a rainy day fund, and I want to, in case something happens, they may just be like, my emergency fund is my credit card. I have a particular view about credit, but I'll leave that for later. But that's not very wise, just because, liquid cash is always better than credit any day of the week. It's yours. You can touch it. You can feel it. It's not bound by any company, nothing like that. All right. And so, but the reason why I want to have that challenge for myself, number one, I want to prove to myself and to everybody else it can be done. Within my entrepreneur journey, that's really kind of how I push myself forward within a lot of things. It's just like pro athletes. Like a lot of times they talk about, like I don't see any other competition. I'm in a competition with myself. That's kind of how I view it. So I set challenges for myself just to reach them and prove to myself that I can do it. So for me, for emergency fund for a year right now will probably be about $20,000 ish. So I know it's doable, and I want to prove it is done. If anybody that's had like a decent amount of money in their account, and even a lump sum or like accumulated over time, and it just sitting in the bank, banks start calling you. They be like, we want you to open this new account. We can get you this return, blah, 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 blah. I'll be not answering their calls. You know what I'm saying? But wherever you put it, it's not the spend, but particularly on the entrepreneur journey, it's just because whatever other moves I try to make within money, I got that nest egg to fall back on, so I know things are still getting paid. You know what I'm saying? So even if it is your tax refund that you built up or did this or did that, it's real easy to spend new money. But you know what I'm saying? If you can get a little bit of a fix on just spending a little bit of that and then putting the rest away where you can't see it, I think that's good. But that's the discipline. Like, can you have $20,000 in the bank and like not touch it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Personally, not like I think some people can have it business wise, anything else, but can you have that? But in order to build it, if it takes you a year to build it or 2 years to build it or whatever your amount is, it's going to be a lot harder to touch if you put forth that effort towards it. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's personally my goal, and then I'm gonna up it probably like to 40,000 and so on and so forth, because I know there's still money growing in other places and everything, but that's just for me. So like I know I want to take more risks within a lot of things, but if I got that, I know I'm good. I'm not worried about anything else.
Right. Okay, so before we wrap up, I know we've talked for a really long time.
That's what they wanted.
And people were like, "Can y'all talk longer?" We was like, "Excuse me."
They wanted y'all to talk longer.
Yeah, we was
like, be like an hour and a half.
Right, that's what I'm saying. This one might be too. It seems like
it is. Actually,
it's really long, but so just as some takeaways, I'm gonna ask you to give one tip for 3 different things. Right, exactly. So the first thing is one tip that you can leave people with to save money.
One tip. I like the tip that you made earlier, pay yourself first. I think that's a great, for anybody just thinking about being more serious about their money, that's a great tip to start with. Pay yourself first.
Okay. One best practice for financial management.
One best practice for financial management. The easiest money to spend is new money. So knowing that, try not to have a habit of like blowing everything when you get paid. Like
sit on it for a little bit first.
Yeah, like again, paying yourself first is like, if I know I'm getting paid, this like a lot of people when you get paid, it's like you already know what you're gonna spend on it beforehand. Had that towards like your bills or your savings. You know what I'm saying? Like putting that away and then go play. You know what I'm saying? So I think that you got to realize what that is and not be in the mall as soon as the check hit, you know what I'm saying? Like type stuff. Yeah.
So don't spend new money, guys.
Yeah, don't spend new money.
Next, one tip to sticking with your budget.
Whatever your goal is, whether it's literal or figurative, you got to have it somewhere that's going to be in your face. That's going to be like a constant reminder.
Right.
Whether it's on your phone, whether it's on your mirror as a sticky note or something, whether it's like on the dash of your car. It's because like, we, especially as entrepreneurs, like we only make moves when we're uncomfortable.
Right.
When you know what I'm saying? So like, it's got to be like a pain in your side. So if you're comfortable, you're not going to move. So, I think the trick with entrepreneurs is you got to make yourself uncomfortable. And I think for a lot of people, that's like, when you feel like somebody's doubting you and you feel like your back's against the wall or something like that, and you want to prove somebody wrong, that's usually what kind of pushes us a lot of the way. But if within, your money or your debts or anything else, it's gotta hurt hard enough to make you want to move, to make you want to make some drastic changes. So, you can have Sally Mae breathing down your neck or whatever, but it also, is it painful enough for you to not go out to brunch?
Right.
For you to, whatever it is that takes, that might be like a mind shift to like take your mind away from it, but is it painful enough for you to tackle it? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if it is something that's uncomfortable, facing it. If it's not something uncomfortable, or if you're too comfortable, making yourself uncomfortable in order to make you move.
And I'll add something to that. Well, first, for the sticking to your budget, one thing I did was I put my bills on auto pay, so they automatically came out my account, and then whatever I had to pay for that I could pay for in cash, so whether it be gas, groceries, things like that, spending money, I took that out in cash and kept it in my pocket, and I just put my card somewhere else.
I've done that practice too.
And it worked. And like my friends used to laugh at me, like I'll have little places I hide money in my apartment, like like a drug dealer. But that was just what worked for me.
But you know what? It feels so good when you do that though. Like just that. To have the cash, you know what I'm saying? Shoot, you could be the old lady with the change. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I got a bag of change in my car. If it's $1 coffee, I'm going right there. Yeah. Like, that's what? I spend that change.
We have change. He'll come in my room and see something on the dresser, like a water change. He'll be like, "Can I have this?" I'm like,
I love keeping change.
At the end of the year, he'll have a piggy bank. I'm like, okay.
That's right.
Keep that change, man.
I did the $5 challenge. So I have a bunch of fives, and I have like an AK pouch where I used to keep my documents for chapter meetings. Right. So I took the documents out clearly, but I put $5 in there. So every time I come across a $5 bill or like $5 in ones, I put it in. So I don't know how many, and you don't count it.
Right.
Yeah, you do not count it. So I don't know how many fives is in there. So come December, I'll count at the end. At the very end of the year and see. But I'm very frugal, so
yeah.
Exactly.
So last thing is a tip to build the wealth mindset, and I have one for that too. But you can go first.
To build the wealth mindset. I think Pharrell got a great quote on that. He said, "Wealth is of the mind, not of the pocket." And to me, that just means like it's not about. It's about the mind shift that we talked about earlier, and placing value within certain things. It's not about going out and buying this or buying that, but the shift of, and another great book that a lot of entrepreneurs know is Think and Grow Rich. But it's about, money will take you wherever you want it to go. But for a lot of people that want to just spend, like that's an immediate means to an end, because like it doesn't really provide you any value after that point.
Right.
So then, when you become more conscious of that, the wealth becomes where that money leads you to things that are more fulfilling and long lasting.
Right.
You know what I mean? So whether it's investing in people, investing into a business, and buying books or paying for experiences, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. And I think that's the shift that people have to have, and how, and then also switching to more of an asset mind, to where like if I'm investing in you guys' business, that it's gonna reap different benefits in the long run, not just monetarily, but whatever, networking wise, all that kind of stuff. So that's really the shift. And it's like, then you become more conscious of like, not only where you spend your money, where you spend your time, who you spend it with, blah, 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 blah. Right. And then I think that's the culture that creates that fulfilling life.
Gotcha. Okay. And I will add to that too is kind of like how we have the affirmations. You put those things in front of you and speak those into existence.
Yeah.
One thing I would do, and you touched on this earlier, is if you know that your debt, because a lot of times if it's something that we don't like whether it be Sally Mae and all that, we try to ignore it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Mine was parking tickets. Like those, what? So,
That's terrible.
oh my God, I'm terrible with them. So, but put
Me
it in
too.
your face. So print out your balance that you owe Sally Mae and put it in your face. If that jab to your gut every day is what's going to drive you to develop that wealth mindset, if you're motivated by that, then
Mhm.
put that in your face. Or if you're motivated the opposite way by something that you may want, like a beautiful house or a car, then put that in your face as well, and that'll help you just stay on track to where you're not falling victim to that instant gratification.
Mhm. Amen.
So we're going to take a break. Thank you so much, Marcus, for being on the show. We're going to take a break and then come back with the wins of the week.
Yeah.
And we're back with the wins of the week. As usual, you guys, if you want to submit your win, send us a message on the gram at Black Girl Bosses. So we have a few wins. So shout out to you guys for submitting your wins to us. So the first one comes from @JoyUnlimited. She said that her win was she was working on discipline and she reached her goal of getting up and running a mile every day this week. Yes, congratulations, girl. The next one comes from @Dominique.Donielle. That's so classy. I perfected my pitch for my new business. Next, we have Bria, our little sis. Bria A. Simone. I graduated from college on Friday. Whoop, whoop. On to the next thing. Congratulations. And our last win, she had a few. So she was like, listen, I'm going to brag on myself today. This one is from Gabrielle at Exquisite Beauty. She was invited to join the Beta Gamma Sigma Honor Society. That's the first one. We can give it a yes for that. She was selected to join the Student Government Association for Morgan for the 2017-18 school year as a PR team member.
Yes, girl, go girl.
Shout out to Morgan. And she's just been winning. She has an internship with the federal government for 12 weeks in the summer.
Yes, girl. What agency? Let us know.
For real.
The USDA. I need to find you.
So, Marcus, you got some wins? You can get this one.
What wins do I have? Office rent is due tomorrow.
That's a bill. What?
A bill.
You're right. I'm sorry. That's on my mind. But what wins do I have? Well, I recorded the Rideshare Confessions commercial yesterday.
Yes.
That was a big one. I think I made a couple connections riding around. I've been really grinding hard within getting ready for this podcast, getting a lot of content together and talking to the people I need to talk to for different episodes and content. So I made a lot of connections like in the car with a lot of people. So that was good. I didn't know. I'm not used to people saying yas at them.
Welcome to the Black Girl Boss Podcast. That's what we do around here.
I think those are the major ones. I mean, yeah, that's my wins for the week.
Ooh. So let me grab the mic back. So mine were, I'm going to be a teacher at Tressa. I don't know if you guys know her, but she's like my girl boss goals. Tressa Azarel on Instagram. She's doing an entrepreneur camp for kids this summer. So I'm going to be a teacher there.
Yay.
Y'all know I love the kids, so I'm excited about that. Next, oh my God, y'all. So I've been struggling. I told y'all with this new discipline track of mine, waking up at 5 o'clock every day and working out and trying to be productive and stuff like that. So this week I woke up every day on time with no problems. Like it's easy now. That is a win because it is finally easy to wake up at 5 a.m.
Jesus.
All right, let's see if we do tomorrow.
I do. Milan, what's yours?
So mine's are very, very slight. I started a daily regimen last week of working out with the trainer. I go to the gym, but it wasn't like every single day. You know, you take that one day off. It was like, okay, I go twice a week, then I'll come back 2 weeks later, or I'll come back a month later. But no, yeah, last week was go hard. Like, I got off work, came home, literally ran in the house, changed my clothes in 10 minutes, and went to the gym and was in there for like an hour to 2 hours. And then I came home and I got on my computer and did what I had to do. So that was my first win.
Yay. Get it right, get it tight.
Hello, thank you.
Sundress season.
Yeah, sundress season.
Okay, Marcus.
Bye. And the second one was eating healthier. I literally went to Walmart and I didn't really cash out. I actually stayed within a good budget for healthy food, as you know, it's expensive. I spent like $79, so we can round up to $80 because it's tax. So I spent like $80. So I had like almond milk for the protein. I bought a bunch of little mini salads that's already together. Mangoes. I love mangoes. So I purchased like 4 things of mangoes and cut them up. And what else? I purchased a lot of stuff, but those are, you know, the healthy kicks. I'm like, okay, I got to be healthy. I got to eat because I can't do, you know, workouts and not eat protein or, you know, eat that healthy balance. So I'm healthy, kind of.
All right, guys, as usual, thank you so much for tuning in to the Black Girl Boss podcast, and we will holler at y'all next week.
What? My Instagram name has changed.
Oh, yes. Tell them your new Instagram.
My Instagram name is the Milan Mobley.
Let me tell you how dramatic Milan is. She going to put on Instagram. Tomorrow at 12 p.m., I will be changing my name. I said, this girl don't sit down.
Because, listen.
12 p.m. And then I was going to text you to bug you at 12 p.m., but I forgot. I was going to get on there and be like, send you like the little eyes, like your name ain't changed yet, but I forgot.
I had to make a PSA because once I had put it in my little Insta story, someone DM'd me and said, wait, you're changing your name? He was like, no, everybody knows you as Halon. Like, this is going to affect the DMV community. I'm like, whoa, it's going to affect the DMV.
Talk about
size.
But no, seriously, though, I thought back to it, though, and I'm like, dang, I've been Halon since I started college, you know? So then I was like, okay, you know, I have 10,000 people that follow me on Instagram. They were like, who is this? I don't know who this person is. You know, they follow me as Halon. So I thought it was just fair to let everybody know, hey, so if you don't see Halon anymore.
At 12 p.m.
I'm not a perk. And this is not spam. This is me still. So, yeah, that was the whole announcement. But, yeah, it's Thee Milan, my name, Milan, and my last name, Mobley. And that's it.
Cool. All right, guys. And, of course, follow us on Instagram at Black Girl Bosses. Visit us on the web, www.blackgirlbosses.com.